Most men don't feel like failures. That's part of why this goes unnoticed for so long. I didn't wake up one day thinking my life was falling apart. Nothing dramatic happened. No big loss, no public embarrassment. I was functioning, working, showing up, handling what needed to be handled. On the surface, things were fine, but underneath that, there was this low-level fog. Not sadness exactly, more like dullness, days blending into each other, weeks passing without much weight to them. I was tired in a way sleep didn't fix, distracted even when nothing was pulling at me, quietly dissatisfied but not enough to do anything about it. And because nothing was obviously wrong, I kept telling myself everything was okay. That's the dangerous part. When things collapse, you're forced to respond. When they drift, you're lulled. You keep moving, but without direction, like a boat with the engine on, just not pointed anywhere in particular. I've noticed that a lot of men live here for years. They get up, do the work, come home, scroll, sleep. They take care of responsibilities. They're not reckless. They're not lazy. They're just absent from their own lives in a subtle way. Present enough to function, absent enough to feel disconnected. And because society tends to measure failure in extremes, this state doesn't register as a problem. You're not unemployed. You're not broke. You're not spiraling. So what's there to complain about? But something still feels off. I think drift begins when effort becomes automatic, when you're doing things because you've always done them, not because you've chosen them recently, when your days are full, but your attention isn't really anywhere. I fell into this myself through avoidance, not dramatic avoidance, small, reasonable avoidance, putting off decisions that felt uncomfortable, letting habits slide because I could get back to them later, telling myself I'd think seriously about direction once things calmed down, once I had more time, once I felt more motivated. That later quietly stretched into months. What makes drift hard to detect is that it feels normal. There's no alarm going off, no clear moment where you can say, this is where I lost my way. It's gradual. You adjust to it. You normalize it. You start confusing motion with progress. I've caught myself being busy without being intentional, checking boxes without asking why those boxes existed in the first place, filling silence with noise because silence started asking questions I didn't want to answer. And I don't think this is a personal flaw as much as a common trap. Modern life makes it easy to drift. There's always something to consume, something to react to, something to distract you just enough to keep you from sitting still with yourself. You can go years without being truly alone with your thoughts. But that's usually where the unease starts, late at night or early in the morning, when everything goes quiet and you feel that subtle tension in your chest. Not panic, just a sense that time is passing and you're not entirely sure what it's passing for. Some men respond to that by numbing it further. More work, more entertainment, more plans, more noise. Others feel it and label it as laziness or a lack of discipline or some personal deficiency. They start being hard on themselves without actually getting clearer. Neither really solves it. Drift isn't fixed by intensity. It's fixed by honesty. At some point, I had to admit that I wasn't stuck because life was hard. I was stuck because I'd stopped choosing deliberately. I was letting momentum decide for me, letting comfort shape my days, letting avoidance masquerade as patience. That was uncomfortable to see. It's easier to think you're waiting for the right moment than to admit you're afraid of committing to one direction and closing off others. It's easier to stay vaguely dissatisfied than to risk being wrong. Drift gives you plausible deniability. You can always tell yourself you're in between phases, still figuring things out, still gathering information. Years can disappear that way. What helped me wasn't a dramatic turnaround. It was smaller than that, quieter. I started paying attention to where my attention was going, what I avoided thinking about, what decisions I kept postponing even though I already knew the answer. I noticed how often I was waiting to feel ready. and how rarely that feeling ever arrived. Readiness, I realized, is usually a side effect of movement, not a prerequisite. There's also a loneliness baked into drift that men don't talk about much, not the obvious kind, more like feeling unseen by yourself, like you're watching your own life from a slight distance, participating but not fully invested. You can be surrounded by people and still feel this. I don't think the solution is grand purpose statements or reinventing your entire life overnight. That kind of thinking often becomes another way to avoid starting. What matters is interrupting the drift, choosing something small and concrete that requires your presence, a habit that forces attention, a commitment that doesn't let you stay vague, not because it's impressive, but because it anchors you. Drift thrives in ambiguity. Direction, even imperfect direction, weakens it. I'm still figuring this out. I still catch myself sliding when I'm tired or overwhelmed. This isn't a story with a clean ending. It's ongoing. But I can tell the difference now between rest and avoidance, between patience and hesitation, between being busy and being alive in my own days. If any of this feels familiar, I don't think it means something is wrong with you. I think it means you're aware enough to notice the quiet discomfort before it turns into regret. And that awareness matters. Because collapse forces change. Drift asks for it politely. And if you keep ignoring the request, it eventually takes more than it gives back. The question isn't whether you're failing, it's whether you're choosing. This channel is not about hype, it's about rebuilding, quietly, deliberately, from the inside out. If that's the path you're on, stay. We build from here.